This afternoon, we're breaking down the law to talk about what was newly passed in Tennessee regarding child support and DUIs. The lawyers are in the house. Let's welcome from the Crone Law, Attorney Bill Walk and Attorney Joe Smith from Miles Mason Family Law Group. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Bluff City Life, and you're welcome back. You know, you're a friend here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, so what's the, just give us the overview. Child support and DUI, how does that even go together?
Joe, go ahead.
Joe, go ahead. Joe Smith?
So pretty much, if you're a drunk driver, you kill a parent, you have to pay child support. That's the law that was recently passed. And I think it was a good way to give victims a sense of justice and also help those offenders, just remind them, say, hey, this is the choice that you make, this is the consequence.
Yeah, but Joe, say that again. Like, just say that first line you said again.
That this is a way to give a sense of justice for the victims.
That if you hurt some, go ahead, what you said about in the beginning.
Oh, if you're a drunk driver and you kill a parent, you have to pay child support.
I just wanted y'all to hear that, because that is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And it's right. It should be that way.
And it should be that way.
The law, general law is that if you cause harm to another person, that you are responsible for the harm that you cause. So that if you take, it's bad enough to take away a parent.
Absolutely.
But you've also taken away that parent's earnings who would take care of that child.
And maybe the parent.
And maybe the parent,
You know,
exactly.
that's the worst case, but
Absolutely.
maybe.
Absolutely the worst case.
And
So-
we have to make people accountable for their actions.
Absolutely.
Instead of just scooting it away.
Right.
But I like it. So why was there a need to come up with a conversation like this, a law like this? Why was there a need for that, other than the fact that we know, but were we just kind of having too many DUIs that weren't going anywhere, nothing was happening, families feeling like nobody heard them?
Well, it's an overall discussion on crime. I mean, you have two different views on crime, of whether we should get retribution, whether we should have accountability, whether we should just penalize someone, or whether we should try to get rehabilitation. But I think overall, our criminal justice system looks for accountability. Just like restitution, when you cause a harm, and it spills over to the civil side. I'm a civil lawyer, and so it spills over to the civil side of trying to recover damages that someone may suffer when they lose a parent or child or something like that. But this way, that's another element of damages, is to account for what that parent would have brought to the child, to the family. In this way, the person that caused the wrong should be held responsible for that wrong.
But how would you determine how much they pay?
Well, it would be based on what the parent could pay. So it depends on what the parent was making, is the way I would look at it. If you've got someone that's making $50,000, $60,000 a year, what does that parent contribute to the family and to the household? And so Joe can speak on, they have formulas for determining child support, and Joe could help you with
Right,
that.
so I'm a family law attorney.
Okay.
So when I came across this law, I was like, well, okay. Good
Right,
idea.
like, good idea, but how do we execute?
How do you figure out the child support? You know?
Yeah.
And in the context of a divorce or a custody matter, there would be a child support worksheet, essentially where you just put in your information and it spits out a number that says this is how much you owe the other parent in child support. But with this law, it's a little bit different. There's no child support worksheet or calculator.
Right.
So what the court will have to do, they have to look at various factors, such as the financial needs and resources of the child, the living parent, the lifestyle.
I was going to say, what about the lifestyle?
Right.
Correct.
Other things, if there is a child or custody arrangement, then you would look at that. And I think that'll be a very important, because let's say the deceased didn't have custody of the child or wasn't even paying any type of support. So would it make sense for the court to order that person that committed that crime to pay child support?
That's a great point. See, that's what I mean. It's so many ways you can unpack it for it to apply.
So many ways. So I'm a civil lawyer. I do trial work, and I represent people that are injured and things like that. And one of the things that you could think about is, okay, insurance goes. So we each have insurance. We have insurance, but there's also uninsured insurance. So
Right.
suppose that this guy that did it, this person who caused the death, doesn't have insurance. What then? I would argue that if you have uninsured motorist coverage,
It should cover
it should cover
that.
it. And that's a question whether insurance companies will catch up and exclude that or
Oh,
not.
see, so we have some more moving parts. Okay, okay. All right, gentlemen, don't go too far. When we return, we're getting into the stats that have impacted this law. Good afternoon again, gentlemen. So we were talking about this bill. So now let me ask you this, because we were talking about it also off break, that it's really more important for a person to have their own insurance and not worry about trying to sue someone or having a law passed to protect them. It's really about you having your own uninsured motorist. Share that with us, Bill.
Yes, absolutely. So in this city, like a lot of cities, a large majority of, or a large segment of the population does not carry insurance. And so if someone doesn't have insurance, you're in big trouble if you get hurt bad. If you lose a spouse or a loved one or a parent. So I always recommend getting as much insurance as you can on your own, uninsured, underinsured coverage. That way, it will protect you in the event that someone that has a DUI or otherwise that causes an injury, causes a loss to your family. That child support would be an element of damages that you could recover from your insurance policy. So I think it's very important to make sure that you have proper insurance and not rely on the other driver to have insurance.
So when you go into court or have law, when you're trying to recoup those funds, how does it work if they don't have anything? How do you recover your money then?
Well, if you have uninsured motorist coverage,
what if you didn't have it?
well, you're not. There's no way. You're out of luck.
You can't sue the person that
you can,
had
but
the accident?
you can, but if they don't have any money, I mean, you're trying to garnish their wages or you're trying to chase them down.
Oh, it turns into a bigger.
Yeah, and it's hard to get any significant money. I mean, they may have to pay you, $30 a month, but that's not going to compensate you for your losses.
Right.
But the good thing with this law is that you wouldn't have to start a separate civil action to get the child support. This will be part of restitution. So for those victims and families that are trying to get some type of closure, you can avoid revisiting that trauma by going through a civil route. But when there is a sentencing phase, the court's going to order child support. So I think that's a good way. I think it's economic in a sense, so that families and victims can get some type of justice for them instead of having to go through a separate legal action and try to get money from someone.
So basically, long story short, just don't drink and drive. Sit down somewhere.
That's right.
Bluff City Life continues and we return.